All right, I am now live, and I just decided to do this live stream spur of the moment. I was just sitting there. I started back to work, and I was just sitting here, and I was like, you know what? I want to go live, so I'm live. I don't have any real agenda for what I'm going to be talking about. I just want to answer questions and just kind of hang out. So if you have any questions at all, throw them up there. Things we can talk about. I'm real motivated to talk about the Can Dan Do It series, which has gone pretty well. We've got 2 of those. Another one coming up next Monday. Also, the recent video Monday, if you guys watch, is actually at this point in time probably my very favorite video that we have ever made on the river with no food. That was absolutely one of the best outdoor weekends of my life. That could not have gone any better than what it went. My whole idea with on the river with no food was this. In fact, on Patreon, I have some extras where when we were out doing the hummingbird, Can Dan Catch a Hummingbird video, Dan and I were talking after the fact about going on the Kansas River and doing a trip like that. And we just kind of spawned the idea of not taking any food at all. So if you want to see that, that's at Patreon. But so the idea was this. I thought it would be really cool to get an environment where we didn't take any food and just see if we could catch fish and try to provide that way. I was really actually hoping that we would struggle for food a little bit, just so we could kind of deal with the whole mental side of you have to catch fish or you have to hunt in order to eat. Because I mean, everyone watching this video is most certainly a hunter, but we hunt because it's something inside us, something deep ingrained inside of us, and we eat what we hunt, but we don't typically depend on what we're going to hunt to eat. And so the whole first day of that on the river with no food, when we had breakfast in the morning, and then we didn't eat except for that one little tiny soft shell turtle all day. And then the next day we got a little tiny breakfast and went the entire day without any food. And so we kind of struggled we were hungry and we were struggling, and then we ended up with a great, fantastic meal at the end of the day. And so it really played out exactly like I wanted it to. So I would love to talk about that trip as well. But anyway, I'm here to answer questions now. So I'm going to go ahead and just run down it. Michael wants to know, it scrolled on me, of course, right when I was trying to say it. Michael Linneman wants to know, when does teal season start? Teal season starts September 9th. And fingers crossed we'll have teal at the lease, which I'd be happy to talk about our new lease as well. It starts on the 9th, so I have scheduled to have video number 1 out on September the 11th, which is a Monday, which puts a bit of a crunch on me to get it done, but that's kind of when I've scheduled to have that hunt number 1. So we have teal season starting the 9th. We'll probably hunt the 9th and the 10th, so I'm hoping I have a teal duck hunting video number 1 on September 11th, and then that Thursday, which would be the 14th. So it's coming close, and we are frantically trying to get everything we want done. In fact, Saturday, Dan and Fumbles and myself and maybe Corn are going up to the lease to chop down a few more cattails. Carolina Tide says 25 days till dove season. You know, I grew up hunting a bunch of dove. We hunted them a lot. And I know most people hunt them around crop fields, and you might mention Carolina Tide, how you guys hunt them. But when I grew up, we hunted them on ponds. My uncle was a farmer, and he had a lot of ponds, and ponds with a lot of mud around the base. If you get a lot of good crop fields in the area, you can slaughter the dove on ponds like that. So I grew up shooting a bunch of dove. In fact, the first hunts I remember in my life were out dove hunting. And I've got some old dove hunting footage, actually, from when I was like 20, maybe even 19. I think I'm going to try. It's on VHS. I'm going to try to get it on a digital and see if I can make a video of that maybe for Patreon this year. But at the least, we've planted sunflowers, and hopefully we'll have some dove up there. So we might actually have a dove hunt as well. I do have one dove hunt from last year. Again, that's on Patreon. We only shot 4 doves. It wasn't very good. So next question. Craig says he bought his new Canada Migratory Stamp Day early goose September 5th. And I know that you guys up there in Canada slaughter those early geese. We don't even see geese here hardly until it gets real cold. Angel says I should invest in some yo-yo fishing reels for bank fishing. Here's the problem, Angel. That costs money. And I would love to hear more about those. I have no idea what those are. Aiden is really, Golden Boy's really proficient at bank lines. And so I'm assuming, Angel, that you said that because you watched On the River with No Food. And if you guys have not watched On the River with No Food yet, go watch that. I posted it yesterday, one of my very favorite FDH videos I've ever, probably my very favorite non-duck hunting video. But Aiden is really proficient with bait line fishing. And I've never done any of that in my life. And so when I met him and he started doing it, when we first got there on the first sandbar, we went up on this island and we found a bunch of green limbs and just cut them off, tied them off, and they worked great. So I would love to hear more from you, Angel, about what those are and how those would be more beneficial than bank lines. So yeah, I would love to hear more about that. KJ Hunting, do y'all property? Yeah, KJ, we just actually leased a marsh that I'm going to be putting a video out hopefully sometime early September. We planted millet on it, and so this is the first year that we'll have any kind of private property to hunt at all. So yeah, we do. Will do outdoors. I made that meme you posted on Instagram. Now you're thinking like, Dan, I love that. I love that meme. If you don't know what Will's talking about, if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's at freelanceduckhunting. And he made an hilarious meme of this guy with a chainsaw in between his legs up in his crotch trying to start it. And he put the title on there, Now You're Thinking Like Dan. And I post, that's hilarious. And Now You're Thinking Like Dan actually started from my middle son, Nevin. Dan is always coming up with crazy ideas, as you guys know. And so we're all hanging out, and Dan said something silly. I mean, here's the mentality of Dan, right? Okay. I love the guy. He's an absolute stud. But what he doesn't quite get is like how hard it is to do certain things, you know? So we are going to build, we have this little property, and actually, I won't speak about this much because this is an FDH secret, but we have this little property. We're going to build a log. We're going to try to build a log cabin on and do some cold water duck hunting around this area. So I won't talk more about that because I just want to tell the story, but it's kind of a secret. Anyway, so we want to try to build this little structure in like 2 days time. And Dan keeps sending me these texts of like, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? And the stuff he's sending me is like the most elaborate. Like it would take us literally 4 months to make. I'm like, we got 2 days. So Dan has all these idealistic ideas, and sometimes he pulls them off, but generally he's like, his head is in the clouds a little bit with some of his ideas. So that's kind of sparked the whole Now You're Thinking Like Dan. So anytime he comes up with one of these great ideas, that's when we kind of, Now You're Thinking Like Dan. Or if anyone ever comes up with an idea that you think is kind of silly or off the wall or crazy, that's the kind of the go-to phrase is, Now You're Thinking Like Dan. And if I'm missing your question, guys, make sure to hit me up. Zach's sometimes the scroll just flips on me. You should do another food camp out duck hunting season. Ooh, Zach, no food camp out duck hunting season. And we've actually thought about this, Zach. And I'm a little bit scared. We've thought about doing it on the exact same section of river, because you probably saw on that video, Zach, that there was sandbars everywhere. And we've not actually hunted that section of the river before, and we're certainly going to give that a shot. I'm a little bit, I don't know, because when that section of the river gets good for hunting, you're talking temperatures way below 30, like 0 to 20. And so I'm a little bit nervous about going out with no food in that cold of weather. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but we have talked about it. We're going to try to hunt that section of the river this year. You'll probably see at least one duck hunt from that section. We're going to cold hunt it. When it gets really cold, we're just going to go and try it. And if we do really well, maybe the year after that, you might see that type of thing where it's a no food. And if you have not seen yesterday's video of a survival video on the river with no food, that's kind of what he's talking about. We went 3 days, 2 nights on the river with no food at all. And we kind of struggled to get some food for about a day and a half. That's an awesome video. Cross S Outdoors. What layout boat would you recommend for someone buying their first one? Well, I'm going to need a follow-up question from you on that, Cross S, because there's a lot of variables in what kind of layout boat that you get. Most people generally, when they get layout boats, they end up wanting to put a mud motor on the back and a little long tail, which is a totally different kind of layout boat than what we're talking for us. We use our layout boats. We want small, light layout boats that we can transport, because as you guys have probably seen, we put our layout boats on top of our wed belt 18-footer, cruise them up a river, get them off, pull them about a half a mile, and put them on marshes. So give me a follow-up questions across this. Are you talking, what exactly are you wanting to do with it? Can you easily access your marshes? So, because if you can, you're probably talking about a little bit heavier one, or do you want a long tail on it? So give me a little follow-up question on that, and I'll be able to answer it. Elliott, fishing a beer or what? Craig McFadden, I'm not quite sure. Give me a follow-up question. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. And these questions are great, guys. I really appreciate it. Keep them up. And there is a super chat option, which I've never had anyone do. If you donate any money at all, and certainly you don't have to do this, but whether it's $1 or $2, whatever, your question goes right to the top of the list, and I will absolutely answer that question first and foremost. So feel free to do that if you'd like to. Hey, Drake, I'm so glad that you showed up. We need to talk because we're going to do a live stream soon. I'm glad to see you here. Are you going to hunt more private land this year? Michael Lemon wants to know. Well, we've got our lease. So, yeah, because we don't hardly ever hunt private land at all. So, we get out 25 to 30 times a year. That's all my schedule allows because I'm a school teacher. And so, I think about 10 of those hunts will be on the lease. I'm going to be just totally honest with you guys here. I'm having a little bit of, I don't know if it's regret or anxiety kind of mixed in. I am a public hunter to the core in my soul, and there's something about finding birds on public land and going to all these different locations that I am in love with. And now that the duck hunting season is becoming closer, and I know we've got that lease there, and I know we're going to be hunting that lease pretty much all teal season and a lot November. I know my dad really needs the lease because of his age, and I want to have a place that's a little bit easier to hunt. But I'm such a public land hunter at my core that I'm having a little tiny bit of regret about having a location that I'm fixed on. I love traveling around and going from place to place. So I'm hoping out of the 25 to 30 hunts, we'll do the least 10 times. And that's another struggle I've got. It's like, how do I keep these videos authentic and different when we're 10 times at the same spot? And so, but we just really needed to do it. I mean, Fumbles is 73 now, and hunting is a huge part of his life. And I mean, you know, the way we hunt, when we hunt public, we hunt hard, we work hard, and he's, for 73, if I can do what he does, I will be thrilled. But at the same time, just, you know, he needs this lease in, and you know, it's going to be nice to have it. But so yeah, we will hunt private more, but moving on. And I'm kind of stuck on, Drake gave me a suggestion one time to go to the bottom of the menu and let it scroll to kind of keep with the comment, which I haven't done. So I'm skipping past a couple of questions. So if I skip yours, just get it on there again, and I'll try to catch it. Cross SS Doors. Again, he wants referring to easy accessible creeks and rivers. I hunt about a dozen. Okay. Cross this, if you're talking rivers, then you want a little more substantial layout boat because you're talking water over your head. The boats that we use are small and light. Now, we are moving over to the kayaks, which are a little more substantial, which I can talk more about that too. Fumbles and I both have purchased Bass Pro Ascend kayaks and a blind system for it, total of $900, which is an amazing price for the whole thing. And those are a little more substantial. But if you're talking going on rivers, which I assume are over your head, check Momarsh. I know they've got really good layout ones, but you've got to be willing to pay probably $1,200 to $1,500 on it. I personally, in the cold weather, am not a big fan in being in water over my head in these tiny little layout boats. excuse me, I have never tipped a layout boat myself, but the thing about layout boats is they lay out really low in the water. So your water line is really, really down low. So the problem that you can run into is if you overpack it with gear, even though you're talking about packing light, it's just dangerous. When you get in cold weather and you're in a really light layout boat in water over your head, you're talking about a little bit of danger. So if money's not an option for you, I would certainly suggest going something a little bigger, like 13 to 15 feet. Also, you want to have a kind of a ribbed keel underneath it if you're going to be on rivers. A lot of the layout boats are completely flat underneath, and your kayaks will have a little bit of a keel. So I would definitely suggest find something with a little bit of a keel that makes it a little more stable, something with a little bit higher edges. And I can't think what kind of boat Corn's got. Ah, dang it. There's these plastic layouts, and Corn's got a smaller one that are pretty more substantial, but definitely get something a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, with a little, at least a tiny bit of a keel, just for your safety. Is Izzy still alive? KJ Hunting, is Izzy still alive? Yes, she's still alive. In fact, Thursday, Izzy makes a guest appearance on the video. I put Izzy on the stool right beside me here, and the whole video Thursday is about hunting dogs. And a lot of my videos I'm really trying to gear toward. I consider myself just your blue collar, average, ordinary hunter. Not an expert really in dog training or anything like that. So a lot of my videos, my discussion videos, I'm kind of trying to gear towards. You hear me talking about regular guys, and my scouting video was kind of geared towards that, and blue collar hunters. And so the video I've got on Thursday is about Izzy and how really just for your average blue collar guy, training a dog and having a hunting dog isn't that difficult. So I've got Izzy on a stool beside me, and she and I kind of do that video. But she is 10 years old. She started having a fairly serious limp when she was 8. I cut about 6 pounds off her, and the limp went away, but she's kind of developed it again. So she's got some arthritis up in her shoulder, and she's slowing down. If you watched, especially some of the later videos last year, like Mallard's dropping in, I even call her grandma in one of the videos, you'll see that she's really, really slowing down, especially on her coming back. So, but she's still alive and kicking. If I can get her, if you can get a hunting dog through 10 years, which is what I'm going to get out of her, you know, that's fantastic. What do you think about Bobby Guy Films and Flair's new company trying to get youth into hunting? Mike Linneman. I don't know that they're really trying to get youth into hunting. It seems to me that they're trying. I watched Bobby's live stream, and I've never actually talked to Bobby, but he seems like a pretty good guy, and he's commented on some of the videos. And so I've never actually talked to him, and I don't know him. But I watched his live stream where he was talking about that connection with Flair. And it seemed to me it wasn't so much youth, and correct me if I've missed something, it was more kind of the younger generation, kind of a changing of the guards. You know, just kind of get guys in their 20s. And I'm not sure how old Bobby is. I'm guessing, if I were to guess, I'd say mid to upper 20s. But I don't know about what they've got going on. I haven't seen any of their products. I've watched some of Flair's hunting videos, and I mean, Flair seems like a decent guy. I don't know. I'd like to take a look at their products. I don't know what this pro staff thing they have going on is. There wasn't a whole lot of interest, a lot of discussion about that. So, but I don't know. I'm interested to see what kind of gear they've got coming out. They claim it's going to be really affordable. So, and their website's almost done. So, good question. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. Daniel says, what size shot do you use for teal? I use 4. I think Dan may be going with 6s this teal season, but I typically shoot pretty good during teal season. So I'm going to stick with my Federal 4s. They're 1550 per second. Are you planning on hunting with your oldest son more this upcoming season? Jackson Green wants. Well, my boys are really right around the same age. I've got a freshman in high school, which is Simeon, and an 8th grader, Nevin, and a 7th grader, Elijah. And the older they get, absolutely the more that they'll be hunting. It's just really tough because our 4 years ago, it was just me and Fulminants. 5 years ago, it was just basically me. and I was just hunting by myself all the time. And then Fumbles moved back up to the area, so then it was just me and him, just the two of us. And then Corn called me up, and he wanted to get back into hunting because he used to hunt with us a lot back when I was in college. And so then it was 3. And then I met Dan, and became 4. Then I met Aiden, and it became 5. So we really do not like hunting groups more than 3. So now when we're running a camera, we do 4. So you have 3 shooters and a camera guy, and that's a really good rotation. That way you're shooting on 75% of the passes. But it's harder and harder to infuse my boys into it because we've got so many people wanting to go. So I think what we might end up getting into, especially on public land, is running 2 groups at some point. Because, I mean, once the boys are in high school, I'm assuming they're going to want to hunt a lot more. And I wish I could take them out more. And so we may end up in the next few years running 2 groups. And I think it'd be awesome to have 2 sets of cameras and 2 groups in the same area. And I could make videos that were kind of like checking back in with both groups. But yeah, I expect the boys to be hunting more and more with us all the time. Do you know a lodge to duck hunt at in Kansas? KJ says, oh man, I heard about one. There's one right around Fredonia. I'm not big on lodges. There's one right around Fredonia, Kansas. I know, but I'm not. Other than that, I really don't know. Will Do says, I agree with you on Bobby, but I do think more people should try to get youth into hunting. Sure. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about youth into hunting. I think it's just natural. I don't think that it's something that we really need to push. I don't see a problem with it. I mean, the duck hunting numbers, especially ever since Duck Dynasty, has grown tremendously. So I don't think that it's something that we actively have to go and really pursue like we do conservation and acquisition of private lands and wetlands. I think most of our effort needs to be in legislation and acquisition of wetlands so that they don't get drained. I think that needs to be our focal points. I think that because let's face it, when you're a man and you have a son and you love to hunt, I don't think you need to be told to get that kid hunting. And when I was growing up now I was born in 73. I'm 44 now. I was born in 73, and I started my really huntings from like 85 to 91 was when I really got into hunting. And back then it was like quail and pheasant. In Kansas, like quail and pheasant, quail and pheasant. And as the population started to drop, duck hunting really took a surge up, and it's kind of the pop thing to do in hunting is duck hunt. So again, I don't know that getting youth into hunting is something we actively really need to try to push, because I think that the state of hunting is fine. In fact, well, I know when I'm hunting public land, I kind of sometimes wish there'd be less people hunting, but anyway. David Ortiz says, any tips on scouting? Well, actually, last Thursday, David, I posted a video on scouting. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check that out. Here's what I believe about scouting public land when you're a guy like me who has a 9-to-5 job, actually 8-to-4 job, and I can't scout. Know your area. I know the public areas that I hunt, I know like the back of my hand. And I know every single nook and cranny of those areas. And I know where the ducks want to be in those areas. I know where they loaf. I know where they feed at night. And I really, really know those areas well. So if you, in the off season, get to know those areas and then take notes during the duck hunting season of what you're seeing, what you're knowing's going on. And don't base anything off just one year, because like the place I hunt now, I've been hunting for about 7 years. And the last 2 years that I've been videoing, this particular place has been terrible. The 5 years up before then, I was shooting limits consistently at those places. So they can kind of cycle based on the water and the weather. And so just get out and scout them ahead of time, and then really pay attention to what you're seeing when you're hunting. True Method says, what brand of decoys do you use? I don't have any specific set of decoys. We kind of use a hodgepodge. Do you ever not film duck hunting anymore? Will says, no, I don't not film it. It's become such a part of what I do, and I really, really, really gather enjoyment from filming them. In fact, it's a big part of what I enjoy now, because there's so much that you guys don't see that I edit out. And so when I get back from a duck hunt, the first thing I get to do is just relive all the video. So I go through everything I videoed one time, and I cut out things that might be interesting. And it's just such a huge part of the enjoyment for me. It does not, for me, it does not take anything away from my enjoyment. It totally adds to it. Now, I have noticed, and I've talked about this a little bit before, that there's a pressure about shooting ducks when you're filming. Honestly, these last 2 seasons have been our worst 2 duck hunting seasons. I've been keeping really detailed records for 8-9 years. And these last 2 seasons have by far been our worst 2 seasons. And it's mostly weather related. Some of it's just bad luck. But with that, pressure starts to mount, you know, comments start to come in. Those guys don't shoot. Pressure starts to build. And that's really the only thing about the filming and the YouTube channel that is a little bit bothersome. It's the pressure. Before these last 2 years, honestly, and I know some people just don't buy this for themselves, but for me, if I have ducks moving in the area that I get to watch, and I can shoot 2 ducks on a day, I'm totally happy. Once I started filming, that kind of started to change a little bit because the expectations of people and their perception of you. So the only downside that I ever have to filming is just the pressure of it. And because I didn't have that at all, that pressure before I started filming at all. I just love being out. And I mean, if you watch our lifestyle on the off season and watch all my off season videos, we're always finding a reason to get out. So for what that's worth. Carolina Tide, are you going to put some wood duck boxes at your private marsh? I don't know. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good idea. And we could put some goose stands too. I hadn't even thought about that. Good idea. Jackson, what type of gun do you shoot? I shoot a Beretta Outlander, and quite honestly, I'm not all that happy with it. I haven't spoken a lot about that publicly, but my shooting percentage the last few years has gone down since I've had it. I had just come off 2 really good shooting seasons with my Mossberg 500. I think a 47% shooting percentage, then a 53% shooting percentage. And then 2 years now with my Outlander, and I've been in the 30%. And I've been watching some videos on whether it actually fits me properly or not. I've had some jam problems with it, so I love semi-autos, but I don't know. If I have another season where I shoot in the 30%, I'm probably going to switch up guns because I'm thinking it's really difficult to tell whether it actually fits you properly. I've been watching videos on that, but it's a cool gun. But I don't know how impressed I am with it, actually. I don't know. Well, I'll talk more about that as the season goes on. True Methods. How come you don't ask private landowners for permission? Well, here's why, True Methods. I am a teacher. And so during the bulk, when ducks start using private land, you're talking mallards, late season. That's after the time switch. So it typically gets dark at about 5:30. All right, I've got 4 children, and I've got a full-time job. So if I'm going to ask private landowners for permission, it's going to mean that I'm going to have to go out and scout and find where the birds are landing and then ask for permission for that. I get to work about 6:45, and by the time I get home, literally from work, it's like dark. So that means I would have to scout on Saturday and hunt on Sunday. Well, it's important for me to be a family man too because I love my children. And so I'm not going to spend very many weekends where I do. Now I will some, but I'm not going to spend a ton of weekends where I hunt Saturday and Sunday because I do value my children as well. So I don't go out and scout private land because I value my family and I value my job. And if I ever get in a situation where, you know, this channel just blows up to the point where I can not have to do my full-time job, and I honestly, I love teaching, then that might be a thing. But, you know, I mean, when you have a work schedule like most of us do, where you're working a full-time job, I mean, doing all this driving around and checking private lands, it's just not realistic. It's just not realistic unless you have a different kind of job where you're not actually working 40 hours a week and you don't have a family that you actually want to spend some time with your kids. It's just not realistic. So to answer that, that's why. And I just jumped to the front, so I may have just bounced over some questions. So if I miss any, put them back on there. Do you think a pump action is more reliable than automatic? Yes. Well, here's Tucker wants to know about a pump versus an automatic. Now, I had a Mossberg 500, and I could break that gun down to every little tiny finite piece. And so I was able to really finitely clean all these little pieces. And so I think that there's less going on in a pump. And now I will say I did have 2 Mossberg 500s because Fumbles had one, he didn't like it, and we basically swapped guns. So I ran that Mossberg 500 for about 20 years, 20 plus years. And so I had 2 of them. So as pieces started to give way, I could kind of mix and match. But I ran that Mossberg 500 into the ground. In fact, you may actually see Simeon use that gun this year. And I had to actually finally go away from it because on my second shot, a lot of times I was kicking it out. After I shot the first shot, I would pump it, and it would eject the empty hole and eject the second shell as well. Double S Outdoors. Hey, are you even sort of lucky being a teacher with all those school breaks? Yes, absolutely, Double S. We get 10 days for school. Yeah, my teaching schedule, and the districts I'm in is an excellent district because in a lot of school districts you have sick days, but in my district you don't have sick days. You have 10 days, and I can take them whenever I want, which allows me to take 3-day weekends quite a bit. So if last year, if you look at like hunt number 1, I took a Friday off and had a 3-day weekend where I can get in 2 hunts. And I did that sporadically. So I try to use about 6 days or so for that. And we get Christmas break, which is almost 2 weeks. And then on the backside, I get spring break, I get summer break. So yeah, the teaching schedule is very, very beneficial to having some time off. Just the worst time though for taking time off is September, October, November, December. I've got Thanksgiving break, which is awesome, and Christmas break, and I can take a few days. So, but yeah, it's great. Let's see. Somewhere in Wisconsin says, I'm also a teacher, only get 2 days per year. Ooh, ouch, Wisconsin. And I've been watching, you know, if you guys haven't checked out Somewhere in Wisconsin, I really like that channel. And if you're ever interested in checking us out on Patreon, email me because I would love to get you involved in some of our live streams. I like your channel and I like what you got going on. And so yeah, look up on that. But check out Somewhere in Wisconsin's videos, guys. I like his stuff pretty well. What gun should I get for upcoming duck season, KJ hunting? And guys, if I've missed any of your questions, repost them again. I'm trying to get them all, but they're going. I don't know. It depends on your budget. Tell me your budget. If you want something, if you want around for $250, $300, you can get a Mossberg 500 that'll last you for years. If you want a semi-automatic, you can go with the Outlander like I did for about $600, or oh dang it, guys, help me out. What's that other affordable? Stroker. I think it's called Stroker. That's another affordable entry-level semi-automatic shotgun. I think those run between $550 and $600. So it just depends on your budget, basically. Double S again, how far do you all normally travel to find good public spots? I don't like going much more than an hour and a half unless, now we've got some places around where I grew up that are 3 hours, and you will see in October two different weekends, probably 4 different hunts in October where we're 3 hours and a half away. But generally speaking, my main hunting places are about an hour. The lease is about an hour and a half. So anywhere between an hour and a half is typical. And then when we travel, we'll travel between 3 hours to 6 or 7 hours for hunt trips. Carolina Tide, best GoPro mount. Carolina Tide, go to Somewhere in Wisconsin's channel. He's got a video about a GoPro mount, and he is right on target with what I've been thinking too, that I'm going to a paint pole, and he actually showed me a stake that I'm going to buy too. But go to Somewhere in Wisconsin, feel free to post that link to that video, and I can even try to put it in the description here. But that's the best. I think that's the best GoPro setup because you can stick it in the ground, elevate it up and down, and get back behind you. Next question. All right, on to the bottom. So yeah. So post it there, Wisconsin. Do it. And if you guys don't want to leave the live stream, I hate to send people away from the live stream, but whatever, it's a great video. So somewhere in Wisconsin did a great video on his GoPro mount, and Drake, you may check it out too, because he's got a really great stake that goes along with the paint pole. And so guys, if you don't want to go to it now, I will put that link in the description of this video as well for you guys to check out about his GoPro mount. Haven't seen any questions about any Can-Dan Do It stuff. I would really like to know what you guys' thoughts are on the Can-Dan Do It episodes. We did the the Missouri River float where you made the little boat. We did the hummingbird, and then next Monday we've got, I think I've got 2 more Can-Dan Do It's coming up. We've got a squirrel hunt coming up next Monday, and then Dan tried to light a fire on the video on Monday. His goal was, could he light a fire on his own? And I'm going to make that a separate little video as well. Alan Smith, FDH website. I'd love to be able to email you guys and get info to send you my homemade jalapeno. Excellent. Yeah, Alan Smith, my website. I'll put it here. It's freelanceduckhunting.com. We've got these hats. We've got camo hats. We've got actually black beanies. We're going to have duck calls on there really, really soon. And so, yeah, go there and you can email me there, or it's just freelanceduckhunting@gmail.com. That is the website there. And also the stats site. Oh, it aired for some reason. A little update with you guys on the stats website. Hold on. I can't. I'm not a multitasker, so typing and talking is difficult for me. So I've got a stats website being developed that I'm super, super excited about. And I thought it was going to be done August 1. It's gone a little bit slower than I thought, but that's okay because I want it done right. And what this website is going to be able to do is, for free, you can go to the website and you can log all your hunts, and it will give you your statistics for that one hunt. It'll tell how many birds you shot, what birds you shot, your shooting percentage, and you can use this place just to log your hunts and all of your data, weather, wind, type of weather, how many shots you shot, how many you lost. All that information will be there. You can log that for free. Now, if you want to pay $4.99 a month, which is what I'm starting it at, then you're going to get a accumulation of your stats. So, and I've actually, to the point now, the website's done enough that I'm starting to load my stats in. And to those of you that are on Patreon, I'm hoping to use you guys as beta testers. So if you want to be a beta tester for that stat side, head over to Patreon, and I'll leave a link down on that below. And you can be a beta tester for it. But here's what's going to happen if you're a $4.99 a month. Is that once you log all your stats, let's say you have 10 hunts down, then it's going to accumulate all your stats together. So you'll have like a lifetime stat section. But then you're going to be able to sort those stats. And the stats you're going to be able to sort are your average per hunt, each individual duck, how many ducks you shot, your average per hunt under certain weather conditions, your average per hunt under wind conditions. It's going to be all sortable. So you can try to gather information about your hunting. So let's say that right now I've got 8 years of stats. So once I put all those stats in, I will be able to go and say, all right, at this duck hole I hunt, how many of each type of bird have I shot there? What dates have been my best dates there? What's my bird per average there? How many have I lost there? So I'm hoping that after enough data on it, you'll be able to say, okay, on a north wind day, when the temperatures are below 40, I know this hole produces the best. Or on north wind days, because you know that, like, especially on public land, you've got most of the ducks on the refuges, and then they kind of scatter out and fly out from there. But a lot of it is wind based. So you'll be able to say, all right, on a south wind day under this temperature circumstance on this hole, what's my average and how many birds have I shot? And I've searched and searched and searched, and I can't find anything else online that is like that. So I'm super pumped up about it, and that's going to be coming out soon. So let me flip back to some questions. But if you want to be a beta tester for that, come to Patreon. Hopefully that's going to be pretty soon that we can start beta testing. I'm going to go about 10 more minutes or so. I smell dinner and I'm really hungry. Does keeping track of your shooting keep you from shooting at times, says Michael Linneman? Yes, and that's one of the best things about it, Michael. Shooting percentage, the stat of shooting percentage is my absolute favorite stat. It's the one that and birds per hunt are my two that I really, and lost birds, those three. But shooting percent, what it does is, when you have a group come in and let's say you kill your duck on shot number 1, shot number 2 you miss, and now the ducks are at about 50 yards and you take that flailing third shot you probably shouldn't take. Once you start keeping track of your shooting percentage, it's kind of in your head, so it keeps you from shooting those third shots that you don't want to shoot. It keeps you shooting those 45 to 50 yard shots that maybe you can't hit very often. So it really, for me, it disciplines me to shoot the kind of shots that I want to shoot. So absolutely, that's a great one. Double S Outdoors, have y'all or Drake ever considered making an out-of-state trip? Well, season 1, we actually went to South Dakota, which there's 2 hunts during that season from then. And so we go to South Dakota. That's the only place out of state we've gone. And it's just because we want to hunt 3 days and I don't want to travel more than 7 hours. I thought about going to Wisconsin because I have a contact up there on the very top of the Mississippi River. But I would like to travel more as time goes on. Jay, I'd be really curious if you could email me. Jay Murphy says it would be awesome if the stat site could be open source so viewers could contribute with it. Can you email me, Jay, at freelance@gmail.com and talk to me a little bit more about that, because I don't quite have the understanding of what that would be, and I would love to have a conversation with you, or feel free to post it here again. But Jay, if you could email me, I would love to hear more about that idea. Duck Gun Chronicles, can you put weather in on the stat site? Yes, it's going to have wind, temperature, and precipitation. So there's lots of, and we've made it so that you can actually, because sometimes weathers change, so you can put all the different weather that you want in there, so you can actually put sunny and cloudy on the same hunt. And then in the notes, talk about when the weather changed, or because we've all had days where it's like cloudy, then it turns to sunny, and so it'll be fully customizable, so that you can do whatever you need to do on that. And I got a text from Drake saying that link I sent says goes to an empty page. It's freelanceduckhunting.com. It should absolutely be up and running. So if the link that I put doesn't go to that, just type it in the browser. I don't know why that wouldn't be working, but it absolutely should work. True Methods, have you ever shot a band? I've shot 2 bands, one from Pennsylvania and one from Saskatchewan. Corn shot a banded snow goose that was clear up from like Greenland or Iceland, like clear up by the Arctic Circle, which was super cool. Daniel Gwynn, I shoot an improved cylinder for teal typically. A modified's fine too, but I really like improved because we typically shoot them in real close. Ryan says, what is your opinion on early teal season that states do? I love early teal season. Our state has had early teal season ever since I started hunting, and it is some of the most fun hunting you're going to get, because those teal are not very smart and they buzz around like little fighter jets, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It would suck if we didn't have it. So in this state, we can hunt basically from September 9th to the last week of January with 1 week off, if you're willing to travel a little bit. All right. A few more questions and I got to go. Remember to follow me, Freelance Duck Hunting on Instagram. And also we have a Facebook page too, guys. Tucker, I started duck hunting when I was 13 was the first time I went. I was a teal hunt and we didn't shoot anything. But the funny thing is that night, then we went tried to go dove hunting and there was 3 teal on a pond and we jumped them and shot them. So it left a great impression on me. JR Lloyd says, come to Missouri and hunt. JR, actually, I've been thinking about doing a subscriber hunt. I've never done in the 2 years a subscriber hunt. On the weekend of October 28th, I've been thinking about doing a subscriber hunt where a couple of us go and hunt with someone. So I don't know where you are in Missouri. I don't know if you're in the, I know the north section is open the week after that, but JR, if you're serious about us coming and hunting with you, email me at freelanceduckhunting@gmail.com. And we can talk about that because I think we'll probably do one subscriber hunt this year where we go out with one of you guys and at least a couple of us do. Probably, I don't know which one of us would come, but I'm serious about doing that. So email me and we'll talk about that. Ryan's asking, do we use spinners? Yeah, we do. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and close it down. I'll probably look through a couple of these, see if there's anything else that jumps out at me. Nate's from Montana. I would love to hunt in Montana, Nate. True, do I want to go to Argentina dove hunting with you? I want to go to Argentina duck hunt is what I want to do. Because my understanding is Argentina has crazy duck hunting. That's what I want to do. And so, yeah, I would love to do that. See you, Drake. Jack wants to know what kind of boats we use and why. We've got 2 Ascend kayaks from Bass Pro because they're light and they're long enough to get the dogs behind us. And they come with a red ball layout blind system that's fantastic, and it's only $900. And we've got a well built with a big surface drive because it's big and powerful and gets us around. True Methods, email me. We'll talk more. I'm not getting a dog for next season. I'm hoping that Izzy can make it her 11th year. I know she's going to make it her 10th year because she's doing great. I'm hoping she can make it her 11th year. If she can't, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would like to get, I don't know when I'm going to get my next dog, but shortly after Izzy can't hunt anymore, I'll certainly get another one. Nate, you can see on our off-season videos, Nate, you're asking about the boat from last season. On Can-Dan Float, the Mo, we used the boat on that, and it's running great. It was rebuilt. It took a long time, but I'm telling you, it is running so much better than it has ever run. It's like 10 miles an hour faster than it was before, too. So go check out that Can-Dan Float, the Mo. If you haven't seen that, Nate, that is an awesome video. Love that video. To email me, True, you can go to my website, freelanceduckhunting.com, or my Gmail address is freelanceduckhunting@gmail.com. So you can, or you can just either also message me on YouTube. So let me. That's my email address. Is jump shooting ethical, Hillbilly Fred? This is the last question I'm going to do. I don't see why it's not ethical. I think that people that look down on jump shooting, I don't do it very often because I don't think it's that fun. I don't find it to be all that fun. But there's nothing unethical about it. People in this sport and everything else, this last thing I'm going to say, they become elitists. And so people that say that jump shooting is not ethical is because they think that duck hunting should be done in a certain way that they think is right, and then they start looking down on other people for doing it differently than them. And so I don't think it's unethical. I just don't think it's that fun. I think decoying ducks is where it's at. But if you have ponds to jump and you can get those ducks and put them on your plate and eat them, what's not ethical about that? I mean, it's silly. So I'm not a big fan of elitists. And unfortunately, you get a lot of elitists in this sport that start rearing their head all over the place and have big voices and loud mouths and want to tell all of us what we can and can't do and what we shouldn't do. And they're just elitists. But I agree, Jack, decoying birds is so much fun. And that's the way to do it, because that's the most fun way to do it. You get to see the birds, you get to spend more time out there, you get to get them decoying. It's just so much more fun. But if I'm out pheasant and quail hunting and we come up on a pond and there's ducks on it, we're jumping it. If I've got the boys out and we're driving around and I see a pond and I have access to it, has ducks on it, we're going to jump it. It's still fun. It's just, it's like not as fun as duck hunting. All right, guys. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I was just in the mood to jump on here and talk to you guys, and you guys have absolutely made my night. Don't forget to check out Patreon, and also I'll put a link to that as soon as I'm done in the description, and the store, freelanceduckhunting.com. And thank you so much. If you ever have any questions or comments, or just want to say, hey, you can contact me on Instagram, message me there. You can email me. I love it when I get emails from you guys and comments. So thank you so much. And look for the video on Thursday, because Izzy's so excited about it. She's a star in this video. And those Patreon, those of you on Patreon, I made a blooper video of all Izzy's bad behavior that's going to come on Patreon on that same video too. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you later.